Good evening, dear friends. Let me start with a simple question. Have you ever noticed how a dog looks at you when you come home after a long day? Not with judgment, not with critique, but with pure, undiluted joy. In that moment, your successes don't matter, your failures are forgotten. What matters most is that you're home. That, my friends, is a miracle we encounter every day, often without realizing it. Good evening, my dear friends. Let me ask you something very simple. When you come home after a long, exhausting day, have you ever noticed how a dog greets you? Not with judgment, not with a checklist of what you did or didn't do, but with pure, unreserved joy. That moment, that fleeting second, is full of love that is complete and unconditional. And it makes you wonder, why did God give dogs to humans? What purpose do they serve beyond being our companions? You see, if we look closely, life is constantly trying to teach us lessons, often through the simplest forms, and sometimes through the most humble creatures. A dog loves you without expecting anything in return. It doesn't care whether you are successful, whether you've achieved something extraordinary, or whether you've made mistakes along the way. It doesn't tally your failures or compare you with others. All it sees is you. And isn't that what we are all looking for in our hearts? Unconditional love. The love that accepts you as you are, even when the world seems to turn its back. A dog, in its innocence, is a mirror to this divine love. Every wag of its tail, every nuzzle, every excited bark says, "You are enough. I am here. I will not abandon you." And if we pause and truly see it, we realize that God's love works in the same way, constant, unwavering, and ever-present. When we observe dogs, we see something remarkable. They live fully in the moment. They don't dwell on yesterday's mistakes or worry about tomorrow's uncertainties. They are entirely present, entirely alive, entirely devoted to the now. And that is a lesson humanity desperately needs. How often do we rush through life, caught in the maze of deadlines, comparisons, and ambitions, forgetting to live in the present? The dog teaches us to pause, to breathe, to experience the simplicity of existence, and to cherish the people we love. In a way, every interaction with a dog is a gentle reminder that life's greatest joys are often the most simple: a touch, a smile, a shared moment of presence. And there is something profoundly spiritual in that simplicity. Dogs teach us forgiveness because they never hold grudges. They teach us humility because their love is not dependent on accolades or recognition. They teach gratitude because every gesture of care, no matter how small, is celebrated. When we open our hearts to these lessons, we realize that God often speaks not through grand events or complex philosophies, but through ordinary, everyday encounters. Every dog, every little act of kindness, every unassuming companion is a teacher, guiding us to live with love, patience, and presence. So today, if you have ever felt the warmth of a dog's loyalty, if you have ever experienced the comfort of its silent companionship, take a moment to reflect. That creature was placed in your life to show you the beauty of unconditional love, to teach you the art of being present, and to remind you that life's simplest lessons are often the most profound. And when we learn to love like that, not for reward or recognition, but with an open, giving heart, we begin to live in alignment with the highest truth of our existence. Have you ever wondered why some of the simplest creatures in our lives teach us the most profound lessons? Take a dog, for instance. At first glance, it may seem like just an animal, a companion to chase or play with. But if we look deeper, it becomes clear that these creatures are gifts, reminders from life about love, presence, and humility. Think about the last time a dog looked at you with those big, trusting eyes. That gaze does not ask for your achievements or your wealth. It does not care about your reputation or failures. All it asks is for your presence. And in that moment, you realize something beautiful. Love does not have conditions. True love simply is. It accepts, it nurtures, it forgives, and it waits patiently without complaint. Dogs live entirely in the present. They do not carry the burdens of yesterday, nor do they worry about the uncertainties of tomorrow. They do not plan, they do not strategize, they simply exist fully, completely, and joyfully. And when you spend time with them, you begin to understand that life is not about endlessly chasing what is next. It is about noticing the simple miracles around us, the warmth of the sun, the smile of a loved one, the quiet companionship that reassures you even when words fail. In a way, dogs are spiritual teachers disguised as ordinary animals. They remind us to slow down, to breathe, to connect, and to live more consciously. There is another lesson embedded in their presence: loyalty. Dogs are loyal not because they are told to be or because they benefit from it. They are loyal because it is in their nature. And that loyalty, that steadfastness, mirrors the love we aspire to give in our human relationships. How often do we demand perfection, achievement, or reciprocation before we love fully? Dogs teach us that love can be simple, effortless, and unwavering. They forgive instantly. They never dwell on mistakes or harbor resentment. If we could carry even a fraction of that humility, forgiveness, and presence in our daily lives, imagine how our relationships, our families, and our communities would transform. God, or life, has a way of teaching us profound truths through the ordinary. In every wag of a tail, in every excited bark, in every quiet moment of companionship, there are lessons about compassion, gratitude, and living meaningfully. Dogs remind us that happiness is not found in achievement alone, but in simple, genuine connections. They remind us to open our hearts, to be present, and to love without expectation. And when we internalize these lessons, we begin to understand that life is not about what we get, but how we give, how we nurture, and how we care for others. So today, if a dog has ever welcomed you with joy, if it has ever comforted you when you were sad, remember this: those moments are not trivial. They are invitations to live with love, with presence, and with gratitude. And if we embrace them fully, we realize that life itself, in its quiet, ordinary way, is teaching us to become better human beings. Have you ever noticed how a dog looks at you after a long day, eyes shining with joy, tail wagging uncontrollably, as if the world itself is perfect just because you exist? That simple act, that seemingly small gesture, carries a lesson that many of us spend our entire lives trying to understand. Why did God give dogs to humans? It's not merely to provide companionship or amusement. If we observe closely, we realize that dogs are teachers, guiding us quietly toward the essence of life: love, presence, loyalty, and humility. They show us what we often forget in our busy, complicated human lives: that love is simple, unpretentious, and unconditional. A dog doesn't care whether you are rich or poor, famous or unknown, successful or struggling. It does not keep score. Every interaction is fresh, genuine, and free of expectation. And isn't that remarkable? We humans tend to measure love by achievements, kindness by reciprocation, and relationships by convenience. But a dog's love is pure. It reminds us that the highest form of connection comes without conditions, without calculations, without ulterior motives. Every wag of the tail, every nuzzle, every joyful bark is a living example of love that simply is. If we can absorb even a fraction of that, our lives, our families, and our communities would be transformed. Dogs also teach us to live in the present. They do not regret the past, and they do not worry about the future. They revel in the simple joy of the moment, the touch of your hand, the sound of your voice, the warmth of being close to someone they trust. And in their presence, we are reminded that life is fleeting and precious. Too often, we are lost in thoughts of what has gone wrong or what may go wrong. We forget to experience the magic of now, to fully embrace the people and moments around us. Dogs show us that contentment is found not in accumulation or achievement, but in presence, awareness, and gratitude. There is also a deeper lesson in their loyalty and forgiveness. They forgive instantly when we scold them. They remain faithful even when we neglect them. And they love without expecting applause or recognition. How often do we hold grudges or let pride prevent us from showing kindness or measure love by returns? A dog, with its simple heart, teaches us that true loyalty and compassion are not conditional. They are innate, effortless, and transformative. Life gives us these small teachers not to entertain us, but to show us how to become better humans, more loving, more patient, more generous, and more present. So the next time a dog greets you with uncontainable joy or rests its head in your lap quietly, take a moment to reflect. These moments are sacred, subtle reminders that life is not about grand gestures or accomplishments alone. It is about love, connection, and presence. It is about learning to live with open hearts, to forgive quickly, to appreciate the little things, and to embrace each day fully. And if we allow ourselves to learn from these humble teachers, we begin to see life differently, richer, more meaningful, and infinitely more joyful. So today, if a dog has ever wagged its tail at you, if it ever comforted you in silence, if it ever stood by you when you felt alone, remember this: God placed that dog in your life as a reminder that love is not earned by achievement, it is given freely, received humbly, and lived beautifully. And when we learn to love like that, we begin to live like the children of God, not just with obedience, but with open hearts. Thank you.